I never imagined that a simple family dinner would unravel everything I thought I knew about trust, loyalty, and the people I loved most. My name is Rebecca. I'm 32 years old, and until 3 months ago, I believed my life was perfectly ordinary. A loving husband, a caring mother, and a stable routine in our cozy apartment in Portland, Oregon. The rain that constantly fell on our city seemed like a gentle backdrop to our happiness. But sometimes, silence speaks louder than words, and sometimes, the truth hides behind the most innocent facades. It all started on a cold November evening. The wind howled outside our windows, rattling the glass panes as dried leaves danced frantically on the sidewalk below. My husband, Michael, had just returned from work, his dark hair damp from the rain, his tie loosened around his neck. He worked as an architect at a prestigious firm downtown, often coming home exhausted, but always with a smile for me. That evening, however, something felt different. His smile seemed forced, his eyes avoiding mine as he hung his coat on the rack by the door. "Rough day?" I asked, stirring the pasta sauce on the stove. The aroma of garlic and tomatoes filled our small kitchen, usually a comforting scent that made our apartment feel like home. "Just the usual," Michael replied, his voice flat. He walked past me without his customary kiss on my forehead, heading straight to the living room, where he collapsed on the couch. I frowned, but didn't press further. We'd been married for 5 years, and I'd learned that sometimes he needed space to decompress after particularly stressful days. What I didn't know was that this was the beginning of something much bigger than work stress. 2 days later, my mother, Patricia, called to invite herself over for dinner. My mom had always been protective, sometimes overly so, but I attributed it to her being a single parent after my father passed away when I was 15. She lived alone in a small house across town, and I tried to visit her weekly, but lately, our schedules hadn't aligned. "I need to talk to you about something important," she said over the phone, her voice carrying an unusual urgency that made my stomach clench. "Is everything okay, Mom? Are you sick?" I asked, immediately worried. "I'm fine, honey, but we need to talk. I'll come over Friday evening. Make sure Michael is there too." The way she said Michael's name sent a chill down my spine. There was something cold, almost accusatory in her tone. I agreed, though unease settled in my chest like a heavy stone. Friday arrived with more rain. Portland in November was relentlessly gray, the kind of weather that seeped into your bones and made everything feel heavier. I prepared a roast chicken with vegetables, my mother's favorite meal, hoping that good food might soften whatever tension I sensed brewing. Michael came home earlier than usual, which surprised me. He'd been working late almost every night for the past 2 weeks, citing an important project deadline. When I mentioned my mother was coming for dinner, his face paled slightly. "Did she say what she wanted to talk about?" he asked, his voice tight. "No, just that it was important." "Michael, is something wrong? You've been acting strange lately." He shook his head quickly, too quickly. "No, nothing's wrong. I'm just tired, Rebecca. Work has been intense." I wanted to believe him, but something in his eyes told me there was more he wasn't saying. My mother arrived precisely at 7 o'clock, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing a grim expression that immediately put me on edge. She hugged me tightly, but barely acknowledged Michael, offering him only a curt nod before sitting at our dining table. Dinner began awkwardly. The usual easy conversation I shared with my mother felt strained, replaced by uncomfortable silences punctuated only by the clinking of silverware against plates. Michael barely ate, pushing food around his plate while avoiding eye contact with both of us. Finally, my mother set down her fork and looked directly at Michael. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "I know what you've been doing," she said, her voice cold and sharp as ice. Michael's fork clattered to his plate. "Excuse me? Don't play innocent with me. I saw you last Tuesday evening, downtown near Pioneer Square. You were with her." My heart stopped. "Mom, what are you talking about?" She turned to me, her eyes filled with a mixture of anger and pity. "Rebecca, honey, I didn't want to tell you like this, but your husband has been seeing another woman. I saw them together with my own eyes. They were sitting at a cafe, holding hands, looking very cozy." The room started spinning. I looked at Michael, desperately searching his face for denial, for anger, for any sign that my mother was mistaken. Instead, I found only silence. He sat frozen, his face drained of color, his mouth opening and closing without producing any sound. "Michael," my voice cracked. "Tell her she's wrong. Please." but he said nothing. His silence filled the room like poison gas, suffocating me. My mother stood up, walking around the table to place her hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I know this is devastating, but you deserve better than a cheating husband." His silence says everything, doesn't it? Tears burned my eyes, but I forced them back. Something didn't feel right. Michael and I had our problems like any couple, but infidelity? It seemed impossible. Yet here he sat, unable to defend himself, unable to look at me. "I think you should leave," my mother said to Michael, her voice dripping with contempt. "Pack your things and get out of my daughter's home." "Mom, wait," I started, but she cut me off. "Rebecca, don't make excuses for him. Look at him. He can't even deny it." Michael finally moved, standing abruptly. His chair scraped loudly against the floor. "I need some air," he mumbled, grabbing his coat and walking out of the apartment. The door closed behind him with a soft click that felt deafeningly final. I stood there, numb, while my mother held me. But even in my shock, something nagged at me. Why hadn't Michael defended himself? Why had he just left? After my mother finally went home, promising to call me in the morning, I sat alone in our darkened living room, listening to the rain beat against the windows. Michael hadn't returned. I called him 3 times, but each call went to voicemail. Unable to sleep, I began thinking about the past few weeks. Michael's late nights, his distracted demeanor, his reluctance to talk about work. But also, I remembered small things, how he'd seemed anxious rather than guilty, how he'd been checking his phone constantly but always in my presence, never hiding it. If he was having an affair, wouldn't he be more secretive? Then I remembered something else. 2 weeks ago, I'd needed to use Michael's laptop because mine was being repaired. He'd given me his password without hesitation, telling me to use it whenever I needed. Would a cheating husband do that? Driven by a desperate need for answers, I opened his laptop. My hands shook as I typed in the password. I felt guilty for snooping, but I needed to know the truth. What I found shocked me. His email was open, and the most recent thread was with someone named Jennifer Hartley. My stomach lurched when I saw the name, a woman. But as I read through the emails, my understanding of everything shifted dramatically. Jennifer Hartley was a real estate agent. The emails detailed property viewings, mortgage pre-approvals, and negotiations for a house. Our house. Michael had been planning to surprise me with a home purchase. The her my mother had seen him with wasn't a mistress. It was a real estate agent. They'd been meeting to view properties, handle paperwork, and discuss financing options. I scrolled further and found photos Michael had saved. A beautiful craftsman-style house in the suburbs with a large backyard, a porch swing, and even a small greenhouse. I'd mentioned wanting one for years. There were notes about closing dates, renovation plans, and a document titled "Surprise for Rebecca." My hands flew to my mouth as tears streamed down my face. Not tears of betrayal, but of guilt and relief. Michael hadn't been cheating. He'd been planning the most wonderful surprise, working extra hours to secure overtime pay for the down payment, meeting with Jennifer during lunch breaks and after work to make this dream come true. And my mother's accusation, combined with his inability to explain without ruining the surprise, had torn everything apart. I grabbed my phone and called Michael again. This time, he answered on the first ring. "Rebecca?" His voice was hoarse, like he'd been crying. "Where are you?" "At Tom's apartment. He's letting me crash on his couch." Tom was Michael's best friend from college. "Michael, I need you to come home. Right now, please." "I don't think that's a good idea. Your mother, please. I know about the house. I saw the emails. I know everything, and we need to talk." There was a long pause, then a shaky exhale. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. While I waited, I made a decision. I needed evidence, not just for myself, but to show my mother that she'd been catastrophically wrong. An idea formed in my mind. Risky, perhaps, but necessary. When Michael arrived, soaked from the rain, his eyes red-rimmed and exhausted, I hugged him tightly. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "I should have trusted you. I should have given you a chance to explain." "I wanted to tell you," he said, his voice breaking, "but I couldn't ruin the surprise. We were supposed to close on the house next week, and I was planning this whole elaborate reveal. When your mother accused me, I panicked. If I defended myself, I'd have to tell you about the house. And I froze. We held each other for a long time, both crying, both relieved. But I knew this wasn't over. My mother's accusation had nearly destroyed our marriage, and she needed to understand the damage she'd caused. "I have an idea," I told Michael, "but you have to trust me." The next day, I called my mother and asked her to come over again. I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. She thought I was going to tell her I was leaving Michael. Before she arrived, I set up my phone to record audio, hiding it on the bookshelf with a clear view of the living room. Michael knew about it. We'd discussed everything thoroughly, and while he was uncomfortable with the deception, he understood why it was necessary. When my mother arrived, she hugged me and immediately launched into a speech about how proud she was that I was finally seeing sense and leaving my cheating husband. "Actually, Mom, I invited you here to talk about what happened." "Good. Have you called a lawyer yet? I know someone excellent who specializes in divorce." "Mom, stop." I held up my hand. "Michael didn't cheat on me." Her face hardened. "Rebecca, don't be naive. I saw them together." And he couldn't even deny it. His silence was proof enough. His silence was because he was keeping a secret, but not the kind you assumed. I explained everything. The house, the real estate agent, the surprise Michael had been planning for months. I showed her the emails, the photos of our future home, the financial documents proving every late night had been about securing our future, not betraying our present. My mother's face went through a series of transformations: disbelief, confusion, and finally, a stubborn refusal to accept her mistake. Well, how was I supposed to know? It looked exactly like he was having an affair. Any reasonable person would have thought the same thing. A reasonable person would have asked questions before making accusations, I said, my voice steady but firm. A reasonable person would have given him a chance to explain instead of demanding he leave. "Mom, you almost destroyed my marriage. I was protecting you." "No, you weren't. You were jumping to conclusions and inserting yourself into my marriage in a way that was destructive and hurtful." The conversation grew heated. My mother insisted she'd done nothing wrong, that her intentions were good, and that Michael should have simply explained himself regardless of the surprise. She showed no remorse, no understanding of how her actions had consequences. "You're being ridiculous, Rebecca. I'm your mother. I was looking out for you. If you can't see that, then maybe you need to reconsider who the real problem is in this situation." That statement broke something in me. I walked to the bookshelf and retrieved my phone, stopping the recording. "What are you doing?" my mother asked. "I recorded this entire conversation, Mom. Every word. Your refusal to apologize, your insistence that you did nothing wrong, your inability to see how much damage you caused." Her face flushed red. "You recorded me? That's a violation of privacy. You had no right." "I had every right. This is my home, and I needed proof of what just happened here. Because I knew you'd never admit you were wrong, that you'd twist everything to make yourself the victim. I can't believe you'd do this to your own mother. I can't believe you'd almost ruin my marriage without a second thought." I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "Mom, I love you, but I need you to leave. And I need you to think very carefully about your actions and your unwillingness to take responsibility for them." "Rebecca, please leave, Mom." She grabbed her purse, her face a mask of indignation and hurt. "Fine, but don't come crying to me when you realize I was right all along." After she left, I collapsed on the couch next to Michael. He wrapped his arm around me, and we sat in silence for a while, processing everything that had happened. "Do you think she'll ever apologize?" he asked quietly. "I don't know. Maybe. But right now, I need to focus on us, on repairing the damage and moving forward." The days that followed were difficult. My mother didn't call, and I didn't reach out. The silence between us was painful, but necessary. I needed space to heal from her accusation and her subsequent refusal to acknowledge her mistake. Michael and I, on the other hand, grew closer. We talked more openly about our feelings, our fears, and our dreams. The house purchase moved forward, and despite the surprise being ruined, seeing our future home for the first time together was magical. The craftsman-style house was even more beautiful in person, with its warm wood tones and large windows that let in streams of natural light, even on gray Portland days. 2 weeks later, I received a text from my mother. "Can we talk?" I agreed to meet her at a neutral location, a small cafe near Washington Park. The rain had finally given way to weak November sunshine, and fallen leaves created a carpet of gold and amber on the sidewalks. My mother looked smaller somehow, older. She ordered coffee with shaking hands and didn't speak for several minutes. Finally, she said, "I listened to the recording you made." I was surprised. "How did you—" "You sent it to yourself, and your email was open on my iPad. We share an account for some reason I can't remember now. I listened to the whole thing." She paused, stirring her coffee without drinking it. "I heard myself, Rebecca. Really heard myself, and I was ashamed." Tears welled in my eyes. "Mom, let me finish, please. I've been thinking about why I reacted the way I did. After your father died, I became so afraid of you getting hurt. I think I've spent the last 17 years trying to protect you from every possible pain, to the point where I see threats that don't exist. When I saw Michael with that woman, I immediately assumed the worst because I was terrified of you experiencing the kind of loss and betrayal I felt when your father died. Even though he passed from illness, not by choice." She finally looked up at me, her eyes red and watery. "But in trying to protect you from imagined pain, I caused real pain. I nearly destroyed your marriage. I refused to listen, refused to consider I might be wrong, and worst of all, I made it about me and my hurt feelings instead of acknowledging the damage I'd caused. Rebecca, I am truly, deeply sorry." The apology I'd been waiting for finally came, and with it, a wave of relief and forgiveness. "I forgive you, Mom. But things need to change. You need to trust me to handle my own life, my own marriage, my own problems. I need you to be my mother, not my protector from imaginary threats." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I understand, and I promise to work on that. I might need your patience while I learn to step back. I can do that." We talked for another hour, really talked, about boundaries and respect, and the difference between concern and control. It wasn't a perfect resolution, these things never are, but it was a beginning. Michael and I moved into our new house just before Thanksgiving. The morning we got the keys, we stood in the empty living room, our voices echoing off the walls, and we made promises to each other. Promises about communication, about trust, about never letting silence speak louder than truth. My mother came to our housewarming dinner, bringing a beautiful potted plant for the greenhouse Michael had built. She apologized to Michael directly, with genuine remorse, and he graciously accepted. "Family is complicated," he said, shaking her hand and then pulling her into a brief hug. "But we all deserve second chances." As I watched them, I thought about how close we'd come to losing everything over a misunderstanding, how silence and assumptions had nearly destroyed what years of love had built. The recording on my phone, which I'd kept as insurance, became a reminder instead, not of conflict, but of resolution, of the importance of speaking up, seeking truth, and giving people the benefit of the doubt. That night, after everyone had gone home, Michael and I sat on our new porch swing, wrapped in blankets against the cold. The rain had returned, gentle and steady, pattering on the roof and making our little greenhouse glow in the darkness. "Are you happy?" Michael asked, pulling me closer. I thought about everything we'd been through, the accusation, the heartbreak, the revelation, the healing. I thought about my mother's apology and our new beginning. I thought about this house, this life we were building together. "Yes," I said, and I meant it. "I'm happy." The swing creaked gently as we rocked, the rain singing its eternal Portland song. Inside our new home, warm light spilled from the windows, a beacon of the life we'd fought to protect. And somewhere in my phone, a recording remained, not of guilt, but of growth, not of an ending, but of a new beginning built on truth, forgiveness, and the courage to speak instead of assuming. Some lessons are learned the hard way, but they're the ones that change us forever. My mother learned to trust me. Michael learned to communicate even when it's difficult, and I learned that silence, while sometimes golden, can also be dangerous when misinterpreted. The real gold lies in honest conversation, in seeking understanding before casting judgment, and in remembering that the people we love deserve our trust until they prove otherwise. As we sat there in the rain-soaked darkness, surrounded by the promise of tomorrow, I realized that this moment of peace after the storm was worth every difficult conversation, every tear shed, every moment of doubt. Because on the other side of pain, when we choose forgiveness and understanding, we find something stronger than we had before. We find home.